The flare is an impressive air power move with a moderate level of difficulty. Flares have great utility linking other power moves together and serve as a good stepping stone to learning air flares. The flare has moderate strength and mobility demands and relies heavily on technique. Having good straddle and hamstring flexibility, shoulder extension flexibility, and L-sit or V-sit strength will make learning the flare easier. Planche and press to handstand strength are also useful for the back of the flare. I encourage you to stretch the straddle and shoulder extension positions as part of your warm-up before practicing flares. Although not essential, being able to do windmills will make learning flares easier as the leg swing is similar in both skills. Being able to do the 6-step is also beneficial as the body travels in the same circular path while facing forward, and the arms are required to step over the body similarly in both skills. In standard flares, the body should stay facing one direction the whole time, and the weight must shift back and forth over the supporting hand. In this tutorial, like all my power tutorials, I'll be teaching the flare in a counterclockwise direction. Simply mirror the instructions if you want to learn in the clockwise direction. Before trying flares, it's useful to get an appreciation for the leg swing technique using your arms. The flare starts with one leg kicking high to the side or diagonally toward your ear, and the other leg swooping low, then up toward the opposite ear. You should be in a straddle V-sit position at the front of your flare. From here, the original leg that kicked high swoops close to the ground until you reach the starting position, and this process is repeated. These motions with the legs are what maintain power in your flares. A simple way to think of the flare leg motion is the right leg kicking high while the left leg swoops low initially, then the left leg kicks high while the right leg swoops close to the ground. Ideally, we want the legs to be straight and not touch the floor, but rarely is the flare learned this way. When learning flares, I recommend wearing socks on a soft and low friction floor like carpet or martial arts mats, or wearing a pair of shoes you don't mind scuffing. This is because your feet will touch or scrape across the ground as you develop the technique. To start the flare, turn the body 45 to 90 degrees and step back with the left leg. Lunge with the hips low, as if the hips start too high, it will be difficult to stop them from dropping to the floor at the front of the flare. From the lunge, with your left hand planted, kick the left foot behind the right leg, then kick the right leg to the ear. You can practice just this portion of the move to get comfortable with the entry and kicking the right leg high. When you're comfortable with this, do the same thing, but slide the side of the left foot along the ground to the front. You'll have to lean slightly to the left to keep your weight over the hand. Over time, progress to doing this but getting to the straddle V-sit position at the front with your weight centered and right hand making contact with the ground near the right hip. At this point, you've completed half of the flare. The second half is very similar to the first half, but in reverse. From the front, the left leg stays high and kicks toward the left ear, and the right leg swoops low close to the ground. The weight shifts over to the right hand, and the left hand lifts to clear room for the body. Practice this initially with the right leg sliding on the ground to finish the flare. As you get more proficient, try to keep the legs off the ground. The left leg kicking toward the ear is what maintains hip height to clear the right leg in the second half of the flare. For those who can flare and want to be able to transition to the handstand or air flare, kicking the left leg harder is what will lift you toward vertical. At this point, you've got a single flare with your legs sliding across the ground. Practice this with the intention of being light on the feet or keeping them in the air until you can continue to multiple flares. The transition to a second flare involves shifting your weight back to the left hand through a straddle planche or press position, then resuming with the original technique of kicking the right leg high and swooping the left leg low. Even when you've perfected one flare without scraping the feet, it's normal for momentum to peter out and to scrape the feet on later reps. I encourage you to not give up when this happens and try to continue picking up momentum. This will help you develop the ability to save flares from anywhere and make it easier to learn how to link flares with other moves.